Attention, listener, I have an assignment for you. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to engage with the Real Nerds, aka the best podcast on the internet. You can listen to their episodes on their website, realnerdspodcast.com. And you can also listen to them on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and iTunes. Follow their social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This message will self-destruct never.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Men. Listen, I have my own podcast. I have my own podcast studio. I don't really care about those. What I really care about is the Real Nerds podcast, the best podcast in the universe, in the multiverse, on all Earths, 616 and beyond. Listen to it. Subscribe right now, and listen to this episode. Listen to all the episodes, but especially listen to the one that I'm on. It might be the best. Thank you, guys.
Camera, action!
Well, a real nerd knows who shot, and a real nerd can follow the plot, and a real nerd can...
Don't talk film! I'm sorry.
Take it outside.
Well, a real nerd knows who shot, and a real nerd can follow the plot, and a real nerd will give it all they got. Lights, camera, action! Real nerds.
Welcome to Real Nerds Podcast, where for more than 10 years we've been going to see a new movie and podcasting that experience to the world. This week we saw The Lost City. With me today is Corinne.
Yeah, only two of us saw The Lost City. The other nerds decided not to.
Yeah, I thought Zach did because he gave a review in a chat we were having, and then apparently he didn't. And then Ryan has been sick and didn't want to spread his illness to the theater goers. So, which I think is really just code for I didn't want to see it.
Right. I actually saw him yesterday because I was in Idaho Springs, and so I was like, hey, let's meet up for dinner. So yeah, he was saying he didn't feel very well on Monday, I guess. And yesterday he was busy, and he's like, well, I could go see it Wednesday night, but
I was so excited about this movie. I was there Thursday night early with everyone else. Just kidding.
Wow. Really?
No, it was just Thursday and I was bored. And I was like, I guess I'll take care of this now.
Yep. I saw it on Saturday, and I have since almost forgotten that I saw it. Doesn't bode well for the movie.
Yeah, so that brings us to our review. Corinne, what'd you think of The Lost City?
I told my friends after I saw it that it was mildly entertaining, but ultimately forgettable. When you're in the theater, I don't know. I think you had maybe lowered my expectations enough. I didn't have very high expectations to begin with because I didn't see a lot of marketing for this movie. So I didn't have a ton of expectations for it. And I was actually not going to see it until you guys made it movie of the week. And I'm like, well, shit, I guess I have to see this now because Ryan called me out on Twitter about it.
Hey, we tried to find other movies, trust me.
I'm sure. So yeah, so then I was like, well, shit, I think I have to go see this now. And then you were like, it's okay. So I didn't have high expectations. And I was kind of, mildly entertained when I was in the theater. But then the next day I was like, oh yeah, I saw that movie. Huh. Okay. So yeah, it's nothing really exciting. There are a couple of funny bits in it, and we will talk about those after the spoilers. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to people unless it was kind of their jam. You know what I mean? What did you think of it, Brad?
Yeah, it's just a fun, mediocre distraction. I'm sure it's something I think will probably be done better just on streaming. Yeah, I enjoyed it. There were some parts where I thought there were some really good gags, but then overall it just seemed like, I don't know, like every other romantic comedy I've ever seen. And there's some severe special effects issues, like the green screen of them on at the top of the mountain, and then I think again, I saw this on Thursday, and it's so forgettable that I've already forgot like a lot of what those positive gags are and the negative things are, because I just haven't thought about it. But I thought the camaraderie between Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock, their characters, was fun enough, and it is so much like Romancing the Stone that it didn't feel like anything special.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie, but I know people were making references to it regarding this movie.
Yeah, and even that one, like, it took me 3 or 4 watches to finish, even though it's like this huge it was a huge movie back then, but yeah, I didn't feel like I was watching, it just felt derivative. I was constantly wondering like what was like, how did this get made, like what was the big selling point on it. And then there's stuff in spoilers that I regret didn't. I think there was something like maybe this was edited down from something else, but anyway, yeah, it's fine. It's just a fun, like, if you want to go distract yourself for an hour and a half, or do a date night, it's whatever. But it's also something you could wait for streaming.
Agreed.
And here's the trailer for The Lost City.
3, 2, 1. Here's the trailer for The Lost City.
Here's a trailer for The Lost City.
Screw you, man.
You led me straight to the Lost City. Now, prepare to die.
There were just hundreds of snakes in this temple just waiting for us to show up.
What? Why aren't they biting that guy?
This is ridiculous. Delete. Delete. Delete.
Listen, Loretta, we need you to promote your new book on the Lost City. You can't spend your life in the bathtub drinking Chardonnay with ice.
Ladies and gentlemen, the world's sexiest cover model, Dash McMahon!
You do know you're not Dash, right? Dash is a character I made up. Dash! Oh my god. Oh, crap.
Miss Sage, I enjoyed your book about the Lost City, and I believe you're the one who can help me find its treasure.
I have to respectfully decline.
I'm afraid I must insist.
Unchain me!
That's a seatbelt.
Oh, no.
Loretta Sage is missing.
I'm gonna rescue her. I just want her to think of me as more than a cover model.
Let's start living dangerously. Alan? What are you doing here?
We're here to save you. I'm certified CPR, I'm certified CrossFit. I have snacks.
After them!
This is like your book. We're on a Lovemore and Dash adventure right now. I'm gonna help you out a little bit.
Let's go. What are you doing? Don't do that.
Go.
Oh, God, get out of there. This is not a romance novel. Jungles eat people like us.
Ah, what is that? Get it off.
Just give me a second.
I can
Just
feel him
stop speaking. Please
sucking
stop
my
speaking. Just
soul.
stop speaking.
River like a bandit. Don't make that sound. Feels like there's more.
Holy Mother of
more?
God.
They're just sucking on my butt like a big old Jamba Juice.
We're so close. I could actually find the Lost City.
If I don't get to this island, my friend and her cover model are going to die.
I am driving. Oh.
Loretta Sage, getting you out of here.
Why are you so handsome?
My dad was a weatherman. Hey, whoa, she doesn't need saving in there.
Okay.
What are you doing in there?
All right, now we're in spoiler territory, so I'm going to talk about the first big bummer of the movie. Is like, I wish Brad Pitt's character was in it more.
Yeah, me too. He was like the funniest part of the movie. That whole sequence where he's like infiltrating the camp and then Channing Tatum is like trying to infiltrate it with him, but is, ultimately just being a doofus. Like,
Yeah.
that was actually the funniest part of the movie. And then the whole thing where they can't cut her out of the chair because they don't have enough time. So then they put her in the chair in a wheelbarrow and then they have like the Pat Benatar song playing. Like, that was probably the only moment in the theater I actually laughed out loud.
And like, how much more mileage could they've gotten out of it for the rest of the movie if he and Channing Tatum, if Channing Tatum was like constantly dueling against how much better of a hero Brad Pitt is, but they take Brad Pitt out early, so then it's just banter between him and Sandra Bullock for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like the banter between the two romantic leads. It just felt really cliche and just by the numbers.
I guess we should say what the plot is. Sandra Bullock is a romance novel writer who is in a bit of a slump. We find out that she is a widow. So she's mourning the death of, I think, a fiance or boyfriend or whatever.
I thought it was a husband, but yeah.
Who was like a prominent archaeologist. So some of that's rubbed off on her. So she's been writing these novels, and she's kind of got a bit of writer's block, and she goes on this book tour, and she gets kidnapped from the book tour by Daniel Radcliffe's character, who is using her knowledge to find the lost city, and this artifact that's like the Crown of Fire or something.
Yeah,
he's already found the lost city, so he just needs her to point them in the right direction to find this Crown of Fire. And Channing Tatum secretly admires her, so once he finds out she's been kidnapped, he goes to try and rescue her. He hires Brad Pitt to help him.
Did you mention that Channing Tatum is her cover model?
Oh, yeah. I've tried to avoid stuff that's like obvious from the trailer. But yeah, Channing Tatum's the cover model.
I don't think I saw a trailer for this movie.
Really? God, I saw so many times leading up to other movies.
Anyway, I unfortunately got subjected to Morbius instead.
So yeah, he's the cover model for all of her books, and he's kind of, I guess, a bit of a fan of the stories themselves. Sandra Bullock thinks they're cheesy and that it's just a job for her, but Channing Tatum is kind of like on the same page with the fans. We're like, yeah, they're dumb, but they do make people happy, and so that kind of those things get carried through the rest of the movie as Sandra Bullock's dismissive of him as like a gorgeous doofus, and Channing Tatum's constantly reminding her that what she does is important. And so yeah, they escape from Daniel Radcliffe early on, and they just have to battle each other and him as they try to make their way back through the island to find an airport to get home. And yeah, that's about that for the plot. So yeah, like we said, spoilers, Brad Pitt gets offed early in the movie.
Did you stick around for the kind of mid-credits scene?
I did, yeah. So he's not actually dead. He does come back.
Yeah, which I was kind of confused. I guess we didn't actually see him, we didn't really see him get shot. Like he just falls over and then there's blood everywhere. So I'm like, I guess theoretically he could have survived that depending on where he got shot. But
and one of the funny parts was Channing Tatum reacting to having Brad Pitt's brains in his mouth.
Yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, at first I thought it was a meditation dream. So they were imagining him being back. But then I guess the way it ended, it seemed like he was okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that was trying to be sequel bait or if that was just supposed to be a funny in joke of oh no, he's not actually dead.
I think it was such a dark moment for a funny movie that I think they did the end credits thing just to be don't leave the theater thinking that one of the most famous actors in Hollywood actually his character died. It's oh fun, yeah, everyone survived. And
it felt very Deadpool 2 to me. You just have Brad Pitt for this bit part where he just dies.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of wanted him to stay dead. Oh, another funny bit in the movie is when they accidentally kill those guys on the motorcycles, and then they're like, "Oh wait, shit, did we do that?"
Yeah, I guess those two didn't come back. Yeah.
Self-defense,
Yeah, I think it would have been more effective if Brad Pitt did resurface before the end of the movie. If he was okay, maybe he would figure into saving them in the climax.
Yeah, at least he could be on the boat with everybody at the end. Maybe he could have been the person who stops Daniel Radcliffe's character from running away. It's where are you running? We're on a boat.
Yeah, and then ultimately we find out that the Crown of Fire is really just a metaphor. It's not a physical thing. So
well, I mean, it was, but it's not the thing that it was just made out of seashells.
Yeah, it's not
it wasn't made out of rubies or whatever.
Yeah, which is what he was thinking. So he's disappointed and decides to one of the frustrating things is one of those things where like the villain will kill other people without a second thought, but in the climax when you have the heroes at point blank range, like, oh, I'm just going to trap them in this tomb instead, it's just like, it's just hard to, it's just an odd motivation. I've been watching a lot of movies lately where the villain does that, especially sometimes I wish we did have the what we've been watching segment, because I saw a way more fun movie this week called New York Ninja, where they'll constantly point a gun at the ninja and tell him don't move, ninja, and the ninja moves and they don't shoot him. That's
I guess
like
he
Radcliffe's.
wanted them to die slowly and suffer for all the crap that they put him through.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, the thing about the movie that bugged me the most, other than like most of it, but the whole setup at the end where they're going into the volcano or the sinkhole or whatever it is, and there's like this very narrow passageway that they all have to crawl through to get there. And that thing looks so small. It's like maybe a small adult could get through it.
Yeah, I think the whole point of the scene, it starts out, they're like, well, Sandra Bullock has to go first because she's small and can do it.
Yeah, I thought that there was going to be like a door or something that she has to push the button to open it.
Yeah.
And then somehow Channing Tatum, who's like at least more broad-shouldered than she is, I'm like, how the hell did he get through? And it's a good thing that giant dude died when he fell off the cliff or whatever, because he definitely wouldn't have been able to make it.
Yeah, and
I don't understand,
smaller than Sandra Bullock, so like if anyone
So I don't, yeah. And then she had a lantern when she went through, because there were some little bits there where it was like, you definitely needed a lantern to see around these rocks. And then somehow everybody else makes it through and they don't have lanterns and they make it back out. Or I guess the two bad guys go back through the hole, whatever. I don't know. That just bugged me.
Yeah. There's one part where she's crawling through and she gets to like the second to last opening and it looks like she can barely fit. And I'm just like,
yeah,
how did Channing Tatum get through here?
Exactly. Especially without a lantern. You can't even see to navigate around it. It bugged me.
I guess if it's just dark, you just keep going until you hit something. But so I guess the lantern's not that big of a deal on the second time. But yeah, it's just stuff like that. And then, like I said earlier, there's this part where they camp out after like a long walk for the day, and they're standing on top of one of the tallest peaks on the island. And I was like, this movie looks expensive, but this green screen of them standing on this mountain is so poor. Like how is this still possible in 2022? Yeah, and then also like when they're at the end of the movie when they're standing on the beach, it felt like that was like a reshoot with like a beach background, like they redid the dialogue or something for the end. So I was like, wow, like it's not B movie level, but it's just like for all the other effects and stunts in this movie is like, really, they couldn't make that look more convincing. So, yeah.
I feel like I had other stuff to say, and then I'm like, nope, I just forgot.
Yeah, I mean,
oh, I think this movie would have benefited from being like 10 or 15 minutes shorter, just because I was on board like the first third, and then the second, like after the segment with Brad Pitt and them infiltrating the camp, it's like, okay, that brought enough goodwill from me that I was invested for the next, like, I don't know, half hour. But then once they figure out like, oh, the sinkhole, like that's where we need to go, and it seems to just drag on from there. So I think it would have been better if it was like 10 or 15 minutes shorter.
Yeah. I was trying to think like what I would cut out to make it shorter. You know, there's that I don't know, tank chase, whatever sport utility car tank thing they have, which has like a bar in it and stuff. Like that seemed just in there because they needed like a car chase scene. So I'd probably take that out.
I think the scene where her and him were camping and she puts the masks on his back because he has eczema from the water. That could have been trimmed down a little bit. I don't know. There were just some scenes I was like, why was that in there? The whole thing where the motorbikes guys come after them and they defeat them by tearing up the dress. It's like, okay, that was kind of funny, but did it do anything to advance the plot? I guess now her dress is destroyed.
Yeah. Overall, I'm just sitting there going like, what was the purpose of doing this? Like, what were we supposed to take away from it, other than it's just like an excuse to get like beautiful people in a romantic setting on screen, you know?
I think Daniel Radcliffe just really wanted to play a bad guy, and he does a good job.
Yeah, he plays like the crazy eccentric billionaire son, like searching for approval pretty well.
He's very campy, and I think that was kind of the point.
Yeah, but like I said, like it's so much like Romancing the Stone. I'm just like, were they just trying not to? Is this supposed to be like a soft reboot thing where, hey, we need to renew our license on this property without angering people who really love those movies? Like, yeah, I don't know. I was just like, I wasn't sure, because I didn't feel like they had a new take on it, you know? Like I really like the idea of a movie where the cover model of a book, you know, I don't know how to explain it, like, takes this seriously, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. It's not bad, it's not good. Just like it's a thing that exists and pass the time.
Yeah. I was telling Ryan yesterday that there's not really anything big coming out that I'm like dying to see until Multiverse of Madness. Like, I might go see Sonic 2 and I might go see this, that, or the other thing, but I'm not like, oh, I gotta go see it. So this movie fell into that category.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been anything. Like, so like the first half of this year up until Multiverse of Madness that I'm like, oh, I gotta go see it. It's all just kind of like B movies.
Yeah, Multiverse is only it's May, so it's only a month away at this point, so it's not that long of a wait, but yeah, it's nothing huge. I mean, for some people it's Sonic 2, but not you.
Or Morbius.
Or Morbius, yeah.
God, I'm so tired of seeing that trailer.
Yeah, I don't think I've talked to anyone who's like excited about it. So
that and the ambulance, LA ambulance, whatever. I see that trailer a lot too.
Apparently, Michael Bay's not even excited about it. Like, he's dissing his own work. So I think he said like the special effects aren't up to par for him. And that's his fault. So we'll see. Or maybe not. I don't know. There might be something else that week.
Speaking of, what's the big box office win of the week? I don't know. What do we call this segment now?
The big box office comeback.
Yeah, that's it.
After 3 weeks, The Batman is taking second place because the movie we just talked about, The Lost City, came in first place with 30 million. And The Batman took in another decent. 20 million, which is putting it up to somewhere close to 300 million or 350 million so far. But yeah, we're starting to get back to normal weekend numbers, or pre-pandemic weekend numbers. So seems pretty healthy. Then there was this movie from foreign movie called RRR that took third place. which is pretty amazing that in the past couple of weeks, an anime and a foreign film have cracked the top 5. So, yeah, that movie took in 10 million here. I just think it's interesting because so much American movies make the big bucks and get exported overseas and dominate the charts, but they dominate the charts overseas but fail to like register here, so good for them.
Yeah. It just doesn't, like we were saying, doesn't seem like there's been a lot that's come out in the last okay, The Batman, but other than that, after Spider-Man No Way Home, was there anything really big that was like, oh, we all have to see this movie, a big blockbuster? So it kind of makes sense that some of these smaller movies are picking up a little bit of ground.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really a lot of good stuff to see right now.
I mean, there's a lot of smaller stuff that's billed as a big deal, like Uncharted and Scream.
Yeah, I don't feel like, other than the Batman, I don't think a lot of stuff came out in March. Not any like recognizable franchises.
Yeah, that's fine. Not everything has to be franchise.
You know what I mean? Just not
Yeah.
any like big names.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all stockpiling for the summer. So
Oh my gosh, yeah, the summer is going to be crazy. Maybe some of them should have tried to shoot for March or April.
yeah, I've said
Wasn't
for years, like they just
Multiverse, it was slated to come out in March, I think, initially, right?
yeah, or no, April,
April.
end of March, beginning of April, yeah. But yeah, we've said it for years. The mentality of put all the blockbusters in summer is just such a holdover from days when more people were 9-to-5ers and school was out for the summer. But now that you have so many more avenues to access movies, like it's a year-round thing. So I say just pick a weekend, and people just need something to do, something to see. So
Especially because they feel like a lot of those movies in the summer, they just cannibalize each other.
exactly, yeah.
So that, and it seems like there's always big stuff that comes around in November and December because everybody's home for the holidays and stuff.
Yeah. But like I said, there's so much streaming and access to like films outside of theaters that people are watching stuff all the time. Like,
Right.
back before that, it was like, okay, we're going to plan for this weekend to go out and watch the movie at the theater. And that's why summer was such a big deal, because there were so many more opportunities to do that. And now that you can, go see a movie in a theater or at home on your phone, it's just like people have been trained to like, oh, I don't have to wait till the weekend, in the summer to do this.
Like, honestly, well, I know Pixar or Disney released Turning Red straight onto Disney Plus, didn't have a theater run at all. And if it had, I think it would have done really well because, like we said, there wasn't really a lot that came out in March, especially stuff that was like more kid friendly.
Yeah, I think it's be hard for them to start that up again because now they've done it so much over a long period of time that I think audiences are going to, if they've trained audiences to expect them to premiere on streaming instead of theater. So that's a shame.
Yeah, I still don't get why they did that. Like, I could understand for Soul or Onward or whatever, but yeah, I mean, at this point, why not
Onward
release
made
it in the theaters?
Yeah, I mean, there's been simultaneous theater and streaming releases. Like, make both options available. And Onward did make it to theaters because I watched it there. So
I know, but I think it went on to streaming pretty early after that
yeah,
because everything shut down.
but yeah, the next Pixar movie comes out. The first I'm thinking is Disney Plus. Like that's where I expect to find it. So if they have a theater thing, it'll feel like an afterthought. That's just where Pixar movies go. And apparently Pixar is very upset about it. So
As they should be. There was absolutely no reason for Disney to put it on Disney Plus. Because, like we said, there was nothing coming out in March other than the Batman. So why couldn't they have put it in the theaters?
Eventually, their partnership's going to have to go through renewal. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe in the next round, Pixar breaks away from Disney and what kind of consequences that creates.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they just get like a new deal where they have to screen in theaters and get more money for it, for the lost revenue from that. Or it'll be interesting. I can't wait to see that battle. How that pans out. There could be a thing where Pixar goes to a different studio. That'd be interesting.
That would be weird.
So weird.
I know DreamWorks has the Bad Guys coming out. And Ryan and I were talking yesterday, and like it kind of looks good. Like at least good enough that's like I kind of have to check this out. So yeah, that would be interesting. If like DreamWorks or Illumination, or even I don't know, Leica maybe, Leica and Pixar teaming up, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like enough money for Leica to buy Pixar into their studio, but yeah, it'd be so weird just to see that like the Pixar stable of characters under a different banner. So, or if they even could, like maybe Pixar has to start from scratch, because maybe Woody and Buzz have to stay over at Disney. It's complicated for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what else is interesting is the news this week.
It's real news.
What is the news, Brad?
You wouldn't know it, but an awards ceremony happened over the weekend.
Did it?
Celebrated
Wow.
movies. We'll try to celebrate movies, but really just celebrated celebrity more, I think. And I'm not sure what anyone won, because all I heard was that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock on stage.
I actually watched part of the ceremony, and well, yeah, it was really upsetting to me because I liked Coda, and I was really rooting for it in the Best Picture category. And so when it won, I was really excited. And of course, by then the whole slapping Chris Rock thing was already a meme. Like it was kind of funny how fast everyone on Twitter just made that into a meme. But yeah, I'm sad that this has overshadowed like all the results and everyone's wins, and the fact that I guess like the telecast, they recorded some stuff earlier, and so people didn't get to see Samuel L. Jackson get his honorary Oscar or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yep, only reason I know is because people on Twitter were upset about it.
Yeah, all this minority representation made huge gains and wins in the awards, but all we're hearing about is Will Smith smacked Chris Rock on stage, and that's quite unfortunate. Yeah.
Had another female director won Best Director for The Power of the Dog, and Jessica Chastain won Best Actress, and of course Will Smith won Best Actor. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, Coda winning Best Picture was really exciting for me because I was like, hey, I actually saw that movie and I liked it.
Yeah, like I've been wanting to see it, but it requires like a subscription to Apple Plus. But it sounds like thanks to its win, it might make a return to theatrical run. So that's when I'll go check it out. So
yeah, I know it's supposed to be playing at one of the Regals, I think this week.
So, but yeah, you're the only one on the Film Explosion who had it on their list. So
yeah, I would imagine that Henry saw it because that seems like the kind of movie that he would see, but I don't know if any of the rest of you did.
I don't think so. Like I said, it's mostly an Apple Plus exclusive, and I know Ryan doesn't have Apple Plus, and I don't think Zach does. So, but Zach, I imagine is totally open to seeing it. Just needs the access to it. So
right No, I did think that that was kind of funny. It's like, one of us having the best picture on our film explosion list is not a surprise. But the fact that it was me and none of you other nerds saw it, unless again Henry might have, but none of you other three nerds saw it. It's like that was surprising. So yeah, I figured it'd go to The Power of the Dog because I know everybody was talking about that, but
Yeah, that's all I heard from industry people was their expectations that Power of the Dog was gonna sweep it, and it really, other than the director win, it kind of floundered. So Dune, another one of your favorites from your film explosion list, crushed, taking like every technical category.
as well it should. That movie is beautiful and really well made. So
Yeah.
I don't know about the other movies that were in its races, but yeah, I think Dune is a really masterful piece of cinema. So I'm happy to see it won so many awards. But yeah, it was interesting how it all shook out.
Spider-Man No Way Home's only entries were taken away by Dune, and then the cinematographer lens, the Batman, also did Dune. So both gorgeous looking movies. So not surprised there.
And I guess the Oscar fan favorite moment went to Zack Snyder's Justice League. Is that right?
To Zack Snyder. So Army of the Dead won the favorite film, like, the popular award that, Spider-Man No Way Home was supposed to, like, the whole reason that the slot was even created was to get Spider-Man No Way Home in. And then all the Snyder fans just put Army of the Dead through because Justice League wasn't eligible because it's like a re-edit of a movie from years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like, I didn't even know this. They also had like a second audience thing called the Cheer Award. So like film that got the biggest cheer. And so that's where Justice League came in. So I'm like, well, how is it suddenly eligible? I don't know.
That's so weird.
It was such a Oscars, hey, we're doing this thing, but it doesn't matter moment, just to get you to watch. Yeah, it's just felt so irrelevant.
Yeah, I know a lot of people on Twitter were really upset. It's like, well, it's like they're trying to half-ass two things, right? They're trying to be relevant to the modern audience and, memes and trying to, get more people engaged with like the fan awards and, popular movies versus just, artsy shit, which I kind of understand that, that logic, but then a lot of industry people are upset because it's like, well, so then you're not actually honoring the best films or the best actors or whatever. You're just trying to do whatever is, cool to stay relevant. And then that's why, like, so many things were cut out of the telecast or they were, recapped later. And it's like, so you're not actually celebrating film and you're not trying to, you're failing to stay relevant to a modern audience. So you kind of have to pick a lane.
Yeah, it's this weird dichotomy because the Oscars are created for the telecast. So at the end of the day, it's all about making a show that gets people's eyes on television to watch ads. If you want it to be about the art and the craft, you have to not televise it, like close the doors and make it a private ceremony, because that's the only way that it makes it about the art. So, because like if it was like your own job's employee of the month ceremony or whatever, like, would you televise that? No, probably not. Like, unless you did stuff like have, a local band show up and like play a song or something, like make the ceremony entertaining. So, and in making the ceremony entertaining, it's like you're distracting from the awards themselves. So it's like this weird paradox that you have to juggle all the time. And I just feel like audiences have come to expect that, like, people are awarding these statues based on merit when it's really about like their opinions are definitive and like not subjective. Like there's a quantifiable set of calculations that says like, yeah, Coda is the best movie of the year. If you hold it up against all these others, like you can tell that's that. Or even in years past, like say Titanic or something, like or Saving Private Ryan versus Shakespeare in Love. Like, I don't know, I just feel like audiences treat like the results of these as, well, that's the scientific proven result, and that's that. When in reality, it's all subjective and it's all influenced by, hey, I worked with this person and I like working with them. So, this year I'm gonna, we didn't do a movie together this year, but like I like that person, so I'm gonna like vote for their movie, stuff like that. So,
yeah, and a lot of it is influenced by money and the fact that a streaming service original film finally won an Oscar for Best Picture. Just makes me wonder, like, exactly how much money did Apple TV have to shell out for that?
Exactly, like Oscar gift baskets,
Oh, yeah.
Apple Plus throwing money around town trying to get eyeballs on their platform. And I'm sure Netflix is frustrated because they've been doing it way longer, and navigating the rules to get their movies into theaters to be eligible. And Apple Plus is the first one to come away with the win, so that's got to be frustrating. But yeah, like Miramax, that's what Miramax did for years. Campaigning and getting their movies more votes so that they could take all these small art house films and get them more attention on home video release. So
because it's ultimately an investment. If you get a Best Picture nomination, even then that translates to more money for that movie, especially if it's still in theaters, which is why so many of them they tend to release later in the year for that reason, like November, December timeframe. And even, we've seen that with like 1917, where it had like the limited release in New York and LA in, what was that, 2019, just to be eligible. But then 2020, it had the wide release everywhere else. So, and then, if you get the Best Picture win, then that's even more money on top of that. So, I can understand, like, if Apple TV or Netflix or whoever, they're shelling out money for your consideration campaigns because they see it as an investment. But like, we put in, X amount of dollars in for this marketing stuff now so that we can get, $30 million more at the box office, or, however much it is.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, like, it all translates more into more money in their pockets. So, yeah, and then in some ways, it's like a huge platform to, get those movies into the public consciousness. So, even being nominated, like, is a huge, huge deal. So, at the end of the day, I just think people shouldn't worry about so much about what won and what didn't, and just appreciate that, people are aware of them and talking about them.
Yeah, the whole discussion about that, I went back through the Oscar winners and nominees for Best Picture for the last like 30 years, I think, like 1990, 1991. And just looking at like all the films that were nominated each year and like which of them won, it was actually kind of surprising. Like, sometimes the winner was like a movie that had a lot of staying power, that really, seeped into pop culture and like, is still very well regarded, like Silence of the Lambs, for better or for worse, people know that movie. Even though Beauty and the Beast should have won. No, I'm just kidding. But then, you had other nominees and even some winners that I'm like, I have never heard of this movie. And it only came out like, 10 years ago or something. And you'd see, like, in some years, the one that won the Best Picture award, it's relatively obscure compared to some of the other nominees. I forget whichever one when Inception was up, but like Inception was nominated for Best Picture, but it didn't win. But it was probably the most famous movie that, of whatever was nominated that year. Inception is the one that, people think about. It has the most staying power. It has the most influence on pop culture in the movie industry, arguably. So, yeah, it's almost like we should like retroactively give out the Best Picture awards like 30 or 20 years later, to say, hey, like this was actually the best picture of, 2005 because, it's the one that actually made an impact on the industry or on the culture. Whereas all these other ones are just kind of like, it's whatever.
Or you could just treat blockbuster movies as legitimate art and not treat them as somehow deficient to, smaller budget art house movies. Because, like, if you look back, because I think it's like the past 15 years, like, the popular movies used to be, up until like the 90s and early 2000s, often there was less franchises. So the blockbusters would be like this one-off thing that felt like new
Jaws
art.
or something.
Yeah, Jaws or like
E.T.
Forrest Gump or something. Those movies were also the big budget popular movies, so they would get Best Picture consideration and wins. And then, ever since I think like probably 2002 Spider-Man, like all those comic book movies coming out since then, has really shifted the landscape to where it feels like the art house movies and smaller mid-range budget movies have to like gatekeep the definition of art, I guess, of like what a movie is. So it's like factioning into, the Oscars, where, the thing that's actually funding your ability to even make movies is being treated like a pariah of the art. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of frustrates me that, especially in more recent years, like you were saying, that a lot of these more indie, more artsy movies are getting, nominated, and that's fine. But it's like looking back now from, like say 10 years later, it's like, what was the impact that movie had on the film industry or on pop culture or what have you, versus something like, Wonder Woman, or I don't know, I'm trying to think of like Logan. There were a bunch of comic book movies that got snubbed, quote unquote, but I don't know. It is what it is, and us bitching about it on on a podcast is not going to change how the industry does things.
Yeah, and I don't think fans should take ownership of the Oscars. Like, it's an industry award; it's their thing.
Sure.
Unless you work there, like your opinion like doesn't matter. Like, it's just frustrating to like read all the stuff online of like, oh, what should have won, what shouldn't win, and like by people who aren't actually making movies. Like, this is their thing; let them have it if they want to award. There's all this interconnected stuff that behind the scenes, like I was saying before, like these people work with each other, and that's influencing their decision. I think it's not so much like no one's sitting down and like laying out all the nominated films and watching them completely from end to end and then voting, right? Like there's just no time for that. Like they all work like 18-hour days. They're not going to watch all that stuff. So it's like it's at a certain point you just start voting for people or what you just heard or liked, or like all these different factors. So it's never really fully about like a definitive search for like the best art,
I understand that, but it goes back to like that whole thing we were saying earlier about like the dichotomy of, what the Oscars actually is versus what it tries to be, where it tries to be more relevant. And it's like you're saying it is an industry award, but it tries to be like this is on behalf of like the whole like fan, I don't know, like all of the movie fans everywhere. Like we are going to definitively pick like the best picture of the year for everyone. I mean, maybe that isn't their goal, but that's kind of what it feels like sometimes.
Well, that's definitely how it comes off for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because so many people put, whether they're just film, fans or whether they're film industry people, a lot of people put weight into the Oscars versus, I don't know, like the MTV Movie Awards. Like, who cares what MTV Movie Award says is the best picture of the year? It's like the Oscars has more weight. So,
But
anyway,
as far, for populist opinion, MTV Movie Awards should have more weight because that's the one that recognizes what people love about going to the movies.
Sure.
So
but of course,
I think the public consciousness has to shift to stop thinking that like the Academy Awards is the one that does that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something that, I think it's a little bit of both. Like, it's something that we as film fans have to do, but it's also something that the Oscars, like as an organization, also has to do, where they're just like, no, we're just not going to try to be popular or in or whatever anymore. We're just gonna give out these awards and recognize our own for their work.
Yeah,
and it doesn't have to be telecast, or it doesn't have to be a meme or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, if you want to be about the art, close the doors. Like, make it a private ceremony, release the results, later. Because I mean, what happened to the People's Choice Awards? Wasn't that supposed to fill that need of, like, hey, this is what the people who went out to see the movies and paid, this was their opinion, right?
Yeah, I don't
know. Yeah. Anyway, we talked a lot about the Oscars.
Yeah, we did.
So I guess that takes us to our new segments. I think you're going to send something in, maybe?
Yeah, I think I'm going to talk about Moon Knight. So here's me talking about Moon Knight along with everything else the other nerds submitted.
Hello everyone, Corinne here to share my thoughts on the first episode of Moon Knight. I know I promised to do a Catching the Classics on John Carpenter's The Thing. Didn't get around to it yet, but I ended up watching the pilot of Moon Knight this morning and just wanted to share my thoughts with it since Brad and I just recorded the episode for this week. And I gotta say, I personally was not super impressed with it. I'm definitely willing to stick with the story because I'm just as confused as the main character is, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I mean, I have a vague idea, but I'm like, I just have a lot of questions and I'd like answers to them. So yes, I'm willing to, stick around and give it some more time, but yeah, I was not super impressed with it. It just seemed like the show went out of its way to make sure that you knew that the main character, Steven, I guess, although apparently we're going to get introduced to this other personality or persona or whatever that he has in his psyche. But yeah, it goes out of its way to make sure that you know that Steven is like a total sad sack and lives alone and nobody likes him and he's just kind of like forgettable to everybody who does know him, and his, mom apparently doesn't answer his phone calls. So, yeah, I don't know. I like seeing Ethan Hawke again. I haven't seen him in anything since Juliet Naked, and that was, 3-4 years ago. So, I mean, I'm sure he's been in stuff. I know he was in that, Black Mask or whatever. What was the one with the one where he was kidnapping kids or something? The character was kidnapping kids. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have a ton to say about it other than I wasn't super impressed with it. It just felt really jarring and confusing. And again, I know that's the point, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. Or at least it wasn't so entertaining so much as just frustrating. I was just, waiting, can I get some little crumbs here? And it's only at the very end do we get any kind of answers or revelations or anything like that. And there was a decent scene, I suppose, but I did keep thinking of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of the whole, Egyptian thing and, two people sharing the same body. I was like, this feels very Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm just waiting for somebody to start playing Duel Monsters and talking about, the fate of the world or something. Millennium items and all that. So, again, I'll keep watching it, but at least just as far as, a pilot goes, it was a very jarring introduction to the series. Again, I know that was the point, but I think it could have been executed a little bit better. Maybe it could have been a little bit shorter to, hook you more easily, or, at least, give us a few more breadcrumbs just to kind of get people more invested, because right now it's so jarring and so weird that I'm not sure if
like, of course the diehards are gonna love it, but I'm like, I don't know if just like your average mainstream person is just gonna like, well, I'll give it a shot, and then, you know, they watch it and they're like, eh. I mean, I could see that happening with like my mom or my sisters maybe. You know, it's like they like Marvel and the MCU and stuff, and they watched, you know, Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier and all that. So I'm just thinking, like, you know, someone like them, you know, are they really going to be on board with this after the first episode? Maybe. So anyway, I've ranted about that long enough. So next time I will hopefully have John Carpenter's The Thing for you, but maybe. All right, bye.
Hey, film buddies, follow me around Denver.
This week at the Esquire, they're screening Who Framed Roger Rabbit Friday and Saturday at 10 p.m. Don't forget that. They're no longer doing midnight movies. They're doing late night movies, and that starts at 10 p.m. So check out Who Framed Roger Rabbit at the Esquire at 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, April 2nd and 3rd? Yeah. And that's what's going on around town this week. Well, that does it for this week. Great segments, everyone. Corinne, thanks for joining me on this episode when the others couldn't.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been an episode with just you and me. I know you and Ryan have done, like, the two of you before. And I think you and Zach maybe, but I don't think you and I have ever done an episode on our own.
I think this rounds out all the different combinations. Like, I think you've done a solo with Ryan, right?
Well, yeah, at least he and I did it for the Movie Madness announcement. So I don't know if that technically counts, but yeah, I think he and I discussed at some point off air, like either you or Zach has to be on an episode at least, because you are the ones who like run the boards and everything and like get the recordings and all that. So other than Movie Madness, I've never been on an episode with just him and I.
And Zach? I'm trying to think of like
know
an
if I've
episode you
ever-
and Zach did.
There was an episode just Zach and I did? I don't remember.
I can't remember either. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, I think like that was like a conquest that you had with all three of us. That you've only just begun. I guess, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm also trying to look up the next week's movie while I'm explaining that.
Morbius? No, wait.
Yeah, it is Morbius.
Okay.
What a time for me to be out of town. How about that?
Yeah, I'm not seeing that. There's something else that came out. Oh, it was like The Contractor or something like that. It has Chris Pine in it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I could see that.
There's a bunch of limited release movies next week. So good luck getting Ryan to find it.
Yeah, or I'll just go to Ghibli Fest and I'll go see Princess Mononoke.
There you go.
Yeah, screw Morbius. I ain't seen that movie.
But the rest of us will see it because it is the biggest movie coming out next week, and that's usually what we choose. And it's part of the Marvel verse. So,
well, apparently you guys are not picking Sonic 2, whatever week that comes out. You guys are gonna go see something else instead. That's what Ryan told me.
Well, the end of April is kind of open, so I think even though Everything Everywhere All at Once and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 come out the same week, I think we might just like push one of those to a different week. So, because then it's Fantastic Beasts, which I'm not into. Maybe Ryan is. So we might bump that, and then The Bad Guys. So.
Yeah, I've never seen the first Fantastic Beast movies, and even though I didn't see the first Sonic movie, I would be tempted to see the second one because it has Tails in it, and I like Tails. Also Knuckles and Idris Elba. I mean, he's always a win.
It seems more in tune with the games.
Exactly.
Like Chaos Emerald and Dr. Robotnik is more of closer to his character design. So yeah. Anywho, that's what April's looking like. So Corinne, again, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Brad, for hosting.
And we'll talk to you next week.
See you at the movies. Bye.
Well, a real nerd knows who shot. A real nerd can follow the plot. And a real nerd will give it all they got. Lights, camera, action. Real nerds.
Thanks for listening to Real Nerds Podcast, a Nebulous Visions production. Stream or download episodes, read articles at realnerdspodcast.com. Stream us on Apple or Google Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. Follow us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. Twitter and Instagram, @Real Nerds. Watch us on YouTube, Real Nerds Podcast. Email us at realnerds@gmail.com. Call us at 720-6nerds5. Thank you to Sparks Mandrill, Mike at Plan 9 Studios, and Bolognium for all of our groovy theme songs. And that's how you fucking do it.